Where do you see yourself in 5 years? For some reason, this question is a benchmark for so many people. So many adults and counselors and pastors and advisors like to ask this question. I don't think it holds a whole lot of weight, but at the same time, it's interesting to think about because 5 years ago, if I'm honest, I didn't think that I'd make it to 25. For whatever reason, short-sightedness, negativity, life. Another thing is I don't do anything for other people's approval or to impress people. I do a lot of things to impress my 10-year-old self and my 12-year-old self because I want to make her happy and excited and proud. I want to make her proud of how far that I've come, or I guess how far I haven't come. Because the older I get, the more I realize we're all just trying to explore and be in awe of the world and excited to live the next day. You didn't have worries on your mind. The only thing you really worried about was how long the sun was going to stay out because you know that you have to be back home by the time the lamps are on the street. I'm turning 25 and I've heard people say that life is about love, it's about happiness, about finding joy, it's all about that balance. I agree with a lot of that. I agree with all of it to some extent, but I think a lot of life is learning to live as if you are loved. I think a lot of life is learning to get back to living like how when you were a kid. I mean, Jesus even said that the kingdom of God belonged to such as these. So I think that's a benchmark just if you're a faithful or a spiritual person. But I also think that it's interesting because kids live in the moment. They're very, very present. One of the best ways to live for personal fulfillment. But also, in a paradox, if you're only thinking about yourself and only focusing on yourself, you're probably going to be more depressed. A lot of life is about living for others and sacrificing for others and loving others because we're supposed to live in community. So much goes into this, and I could really get into it. So many thoughts, but the more I think about it, the more I act like God isn't for me and God isn't a good father and not trying to provide for me and that I'm just alone in the world and I have to do things on my own and fight and struggle on my own, alone, no creator, no friends, no community. That's when I start acting like a fatherless child. And it makes sense because that's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking like a fatherless child. I think today at 25, I want the same thing for my life that I wanted when I was 4 and 5 and 6. I wanted freedom, to explore, to find new adventures, and just to be loved. There's other things, of course, as well. But I think I've really gone back to the basics and gone full circle. It's only been a quarter of a century, but I do feel like I've had a couple midlife, quarter-life crises. Anyways. But while the vocabulary hasn't really gotten better, I would say the mindset does. The prefrontal cortex is fully developed. It's amazing. It's really an amazing world out there, y'all. So I'm just trying to get back to my 7-year-old self, 6-year-old self. Because if I had a time machine and I had to pick the happiest time to go back in my life, it would probably be before I was 10. Because I remember when I turned 10, I just felt this heavy weight of depression. I don't know where it came from. I think it was self-awareness being downloaded into my body, realizing that the world wasn't perfect and my life and parents and friends and things let you down sometimes. And 10 is an age where you start to be disappointed by life and by people and by yourself. And societal pressures come in. And I feel like 10 was such a turning point for me. It was my golden birthday, actually, because my birthday is February 10th. And I feel like everything changed past that age. I wish I had a time machine. You didn't hear that. I would probably go back to time before I was 10. 9 or 8 or 7. I feel like 7 and 8 were such a perfect age to be.
Abby, what are you going to be when you grow up? You don't know? Haven't decided yet?